said in my judgment that these were powerful and moving arguments. And I said that it was plain that the Duke of Sussex felt badly treated by the system. But I concluded, having studied the detail of the extensive documentation.
Well. It was bound to happen. At a certain point, Harry would hear the word no. He has heard the word no repeatedly, which is why we have so many lawsuits. Now it's been 3 long years, over £500,000 of legal fees from the people, because don't forget he was suing His Majesty the King's government. So in order to break down these breaking news, I have our recollections may vary to come and break it with us. So please, let's welcome our recollections may vary.
Hello.
How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very, very welcome. Can you tell me what do you think of all this craziness?
I am, first of all, I don't even know why on earth he was allowed to take it this far. I understand the legal system, just like, the British legal system, just like the American. There's always the opportunity for appeal if, you don't think that it was judged correctly. But as the king's son, how was he enabled to waste so much taxpayer money fighting this battle? That baffles me. I mean, the whole story that, Charles doesn't know what he's up to. I'm sorry. Your son's doing this and you're the king. You put a stop to this nonsense. Millions of dollars wasted.
And time and
Yeah,
stress.
yeah, all of it.
And also one of the things that people don't understand is that every time he came to battle it in court, he would get police protection,
Yep,
which
yep,
means was an additional cost to the taxpayers.
yep.
Just for people, before people, you all freak out. Harry has not lost security.
Right.
If he gives 28 days notice, if he gives 28 days notice and he gives his agenda, then Radek can assess the security threat level. And he always has security with him.
Yep.
Okay. The reason for that is because he's entitled and he's not used to the word no.
Yeah.
And one of the little things that people don't understand either is that Harry never, whenever he wasn't on duty representing the crown, he never had a convoy. It was always
Right.
one bodyguard.
Yep.
That was it, guys. At one point, even Ken Worf, the bodyguard, they both boys had one bodyguard for the two of them. Princess Diana, one bodyguard.
Even think about it when you think about the kids, the Wales kids. You don't see them in convoys going to school. It's only when there is a threat, when they're in danger, when they're being public and they're, doing something related to where everybody's going to know exactly where they are and everything, that it becomes a threat. And that's when they get that type of security. I mean, I don't think Harry is at all afraid. I don't think he feels in danger. I don't think he really gives a crap about the security. I think it's all about that IPP status.
Well, it was very telling. We're going to show you the actual ruling of the judge, what he said in a couple of minutes. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe. And I'm going to leave the link for ORMD to go and you subscribe to her channel. She does talk about wonderful stuff. So we're going to show you that. But it's very telling because he said that he was being treated like an inferior. And I wonder if he feels inferior because of his marriage, that he feels inferior now, that he needed to feel superior because whenever we would see him come to court, he was like this big, strutting around,
Swagger,
macho man,
swagger. Yep.
like waving at the crowds without Meghan. So I wonder if the inferior complex comes from the fact that he knows he now has hit bottom line with Rachel Meghan Markle, that she calls him that man, that he's not valued at all anywhere? Or do
I,
you think it stems from envy from his brother?
both. I think that's exactly what I was going to say. I think he's always had this. And so, like with William, like he's always had that feeling of being inferior to William because he's the spare, and he's not whatever. But then by being with Meghan and the way Meghan treats him, it's, he's so used to tolerating it that now he was able to fall into those same patterns with her, and things that most people wouldn't accept. He let it go, let it go, let it go until it got 10 times worse than whatever it was with William, because with William, it was all in Harry's head. Well, I mean, obviously he is the spare, but his family didn't treat him that way. It wasn't that he had that.
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
So when it was with William, it was in his head. Well, now it's actually come to fruition in the way that Meghan does treat him. She does treat him like the second class citizen. She does treat him as an inferior. And it got to that point because in his head, he was so used to that feeling that, it's the lobster in hot water. You put it in cold water, it'll stay in the pot. If you put it in boiling water, it'll jump right out. He's gotten so used to that feeling through, his own issues, that when she starts treating him that way, he didn't balk when he should have.
Yeah. When you said something very interesting, when it was in his head, I wonder if what was in his head was not that he was inferior, but that he would not be king, because sure is the reason why he's now feeling, in my opinion, that he feels inferior is because for the first time in his life, he feels he's being treated as such.
Right.
And he
Yes.
doesn't like that feeling because he
Yes.
knows full well that they never had a convoy. He knows full
Right.
well that they only had one bodyguard, and they would
Yeah.
rotate.
Yeah.
They had yeah, always one bodyguard. It's something that word inferior really got to me because it showed to me where his mindset is at.
Yes. But you know
You
what
know,
else? You know what else? The irony is that with Diana, it was always she didn't like the security when they were on private family times. In the end, she didn't have the security, but even so, like she didn't want that intrusion of security all the time. What irony that now Harry is fighting to get security, when that was never her. Like she always kind of wanted it to be, just normal life. No, no, we need to be able to just go through our business, our normal everyday without, having bodyguards there the whole time. And now he's sitting here fighting for it.
but what he's fighting for is a convoy. He
Right.
wants the convoy. It's not that he wants because he has personal security, but he doesn't want to
Right.
pay for it. He
Well,
doesn't want.
yeah.
One of the things he doesn't want is he doesn't want to pay for it.
Right.
Used to getting free things all his life. Let's
Yeah.
listen to what the judge said, so
Right.
we can talk a little bit more about this.
I said in my judgment that these were powerful and moving arguments. And I said that it was plain that the Duke of Sussex felt badly treated by the system. But I concluded, having studied the detail of the extensive documentation, I could not say that the Duke's sense of grievance translated into a legal argument for the challenge to Ravek's decision. The legal question, indeed the only question for the court, was whether Sir Richard had failed to follow Ravek's policy without a good reason. From the Duke of Sussex's point of view, I said that something may indeed have gone wrong, in that an unintended consequence of his decision to step back from royal duties and spend the majority of his time abroad has been that he's been provided with a more bespoke and generally lesser level of protection than what he was provided with in the UK before. But that did not of itself give rise to a legal complaint.
What do you make of that ruling?
I mean, to me, the judge is basically saying, yes, things have changed for you, but that doesn't mean that it's been illegal. It doesn't mean you've been mistreated. Suck it up. You made the decision. You made your bed. Now it's time to lie in it. I mean, that's basically what I got from it, is that it all comes from Harry's decision that things have changed.
Yep. Basically, what he said, it's time to face the consequences of your actions. And this is
Exactly.
one of the consequences of your many actions. Just
Yep.
like, I mean, they're countless because
Yeah.
he's lost his privilege. He's lost the HRH, by the way.
Yep.
He's not that they can use it in private. The Queen said that they would not use it, period.
Right.
Okay. Um, but this is consequences.
Yep. Yeah.
It's for the first time. Do you think he'll take it to the, because he can appeal
He can
to this
appeal it again.
to the Supreme Court? Yes.
Oh, for goodness sake. Well, yeah, I think he will, without a doubt. He's going to do it. He's not going to give this up until he has no choice.
But the thing is, though, that his case would need to be strong for this Supreme Court to hear it.
Well, that's the sort of thing that I'm saying. You cannot tell me King Charles could not, if King Charles wanted to, he could have whispered in someone's ear, tell the judge it's done. Stop this. There could have been points along the way where the appeal wasn't accepted, and yet they've let it go. And each step of the way, he had to, before anything else, he had to prove there was a case. And someone ruled, yes, we need to look at it. And any step along that way, someone could have said, no, it's done. But and I understand that they wanted to play it out so that he never had an appeal, going forward or whatever. But I think it's ridiculous. And I think that Harry is the test case, because whatever happened with Harry, if Harry got away with this, the next one to do it was going to be Andrew.
Oh, well, yeah, because there was already a precedent with Princess
Hmm.
Eugenie and Beatrice,
Yep.
that they were fifth and sixth in line to the throne. I've talked about it extensively on my channel. But
Yep.
what is interesting to me is the following: is like that judgment basically renders him insignificant. It's basically it's the end of the line. On
Yeah.
the law itself, you were talking about that King Charles could have whispered in somebody's ear. Charles didn't need to do that. All the judges needed to do is follow the letter of the law, because you see, the law in the United Kingdom says that judges cannot interfere in other ministers' choices and or directorate choices. This would be like contesting, because Radek is the body that's expert in security. So that means that every choice that Radek takes based on all the security information they have, anybody can take it to a judge and question it. So there is
Right.
already, as per the letter of the law, this is not applicable. This would be like the Minister of Education second guessing the decision of a judge.
Right.
One thing has to do with, they don't have anything to do with each other. So
Right.
it's very, very interesting how that was allowed. But what do you think is going to be next? Do you think that this is going to make Harry bitter or worse, or his situation with Meghan Markle?
For goodness sake, how could he be more bitter? I mean, I think the man's pretty bitter already, but that's a good question, because I think that it depends on where, I mean, we all like to speculate where it is in terms of the divorce, right? How close are they to the end? We all know is inevitable. I think where they are in that process and how close they're getting is going to determine what he does. Because if they are getting to that end road, to that end point where the marriage is done and dusted, he needs to stay on the good side of the UK and his family and whatnot, because he needs somewhere else to go. So I think that the closer they are to divorce determines how he's going to react. Because if they're still quote unquote happily married, which of course we know they never really were, but if they're still happily married, he's going to have that he's going to feel that freedom to be able to say F you to the UK and to his family
Yeah,
and
because one
keep
of the
pushing.
arguments that he was having was that his bodyguards who cannot carry guns under British law and do not have access to the government security network are not sufficient to protect him and his family when they visit the UK. But that's absolute BS, because actually the bodyguards that he has are former bodyguards that he carried with him since he was in the UK, and
Right,
they have a liaison with Scotland Yard. They always notify them, and this is why they needed the notification time, guys.
right,
28 days with an agenda so they can go and secure the premises and do all kinds of things. Harry has never been without security.
right.
Okay. And he always, whenever he comes, it's always guarded. So his security has been downgraded to people not carrying guns. That's it. It is unbelievable. But to me, this is gonna put more of a strain in the marriage. And this is gonna I think that's dawning on him. What do you think? That it's finally dawning on him the consequences of what he has lost, like what he's given up for Rachel Meghan Markle. I mean, a D-list mattress actress whose lives are
No,
completely filled with lies.
no, because Harry is a master at self-delusion. And in his head, this is all still his family's fault. It's not Meghan's. It's not because of Meghan. It's not because he chose to marry her. It's not because the decisions they as a couple made. This is because his family is giving him a raw deal. He will never blame. He's going to always be the victim, right? So if he's always the victim, it's not because of his choices. It's because someone else is doing it to him.
Well, but I think the judge plainly told him, this is what
Yeah.
happens
Well,
when you step down. You know, when you quit a job, guys, that's it. Going back to a little bit about the Megan thing, because this is going to be interesting if in the eyes of Harry, he will feel even less of a man to Megan because he failed this,
probably.
or
Well, because she's going to say it.
will this give her an excuse?
Absolutely.
Will this give her an excuse to say, see, I'm never letting you bring the kids to the UK? Even
Well,
though
yes, but
all he has to do is give 28 days notice. That's all
yes,
they have to do.
she will
That's
use
all
it.
they have to do.
But the worst part is that she will say, "Look at you, you failed," and she will harp on it. That he didn't get her what she wanted, and he disappointed her. And that is where from that she's gonna say, "Well, I can't. You messed up. You didn't get us our security, so we can't do this. Oh, you messed up. That's all you aren't interested in keeping me safe." He's gonna hear that day in and day out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and as you said, it's very interesting that from my perspective, I think he does want to go back to the UK. I think this was mostly a vanity project because to me, this was a worldwide tantrum.
Yes.
I wonder how this is going to impact the US security. So, how do you see this playing out, just to wrap it up?
I see that he's gonna keep going. He's not gonna stop. And even if maybe, 6 months from now they say, "Harry, you're done. We're not entertaining this nonsense anymore." In the beginning, it's gonna be there's still dragons to slay. They're gonna go out there with a statement saying they're gonna fight it till the end because they're not going to admit defeat. They're not going. He's in his head. He is 1000% convinced he's entitled to this. And so
Well, he
he's
grew
not
up with it.
gonna.
He grew up with
Yeah,
it. But
but
he didn't grow up. This
but
is
he's
the thing. He
asking
didn't
for
grow
more
up
than he grew up with. Yeah, exactly. He's
exactly. This is
asking
the
for
whole thing.
more than what he grew up with. And as far as Megan, how she's gonna do this, she's going to, in public, be like, "Oh, but he's trying so hard. It's not his fault. It's them. They refuse to accept that he deserves more." But behind the scenes, she's gonna be harping on him nonstop about this,
I
that he
wouldn't put it
failed.
past this woman. I wouldn't put it past this woman to try and stage like they did in New York, that fake car
Oh,
chase.
yeah.
Because all of this was a plan. That fake car chase was a
Yeah.
plan just to get security threat, that drone, everything that in the very end, nobody found out who that drone is. I believe that it was Meghan Markle's.
I even feel that they're the way they talk about security is all part of the same plan. They don't think about security half as much as they want people to think they do. You know, they don't give it a thought in their day-to-day life, but they're out there saying, "Oh, but we just want to be safe and we're so scared." Even that's a part of the plan.
I think it's for status because Megan likes to show. I mean, who shows up in New York in a
Right,
fake car convoy? You know, just it's just a status thing because she didn't have bodyguards with her that day
right,
because Harry had all the bodyguards because
right,
there was a little clip of her backstage where she's running
right,
around like a crazy chicken. You know, because the bodyguards are always guarding Harry, they're never guarding her.
right.
So, but thanks for joining me,
Well,
and
thank
please,
you for
guys.
having me. It was such a pleasure.
Oh, no, thank you, and please go subscribe to Our Collections May Vary. She has a fantastic channel, and thanks for dissecting it with me today. And have a
It was
great
my
day,
pleasure, and you have a great day.
guys. Bye.